Hello and welcome back to Crimson Gun Gaming. Just going to do another quick video for you. I'm back on Dulyist. I have to say Dulyist is a really great game. I really do enjoy, I think, just like the simplicity of it. It's a bit like Hearthstone, and I'll probably try and play that at some point as well. Also, as I was mentioning in the last video, with the kind of speed that I seem to have, I kind of need to... what's the right word for it? I need to just try and keep the videos as small as possible so I can upload them as often as possible, I guess. So this time, rather than talking about sort of the road to becoming a YouTuber, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the AMD news that's been coming on. So, as a lot of people would have been reading, or at least watching if you're really into AMD processors, you'll be seeing that they've been doing really well, like unbelievably well, in terms of at least the early data that I've seen, at least, has been really surprising. I mean, I'm not that surprised that an 8-core processor outperforms, say, a processor of kind of an equivalent price, but just because it has less cores, it has less performance in applications that actually prefer those extra cores. In fact, I find it hardly surprising that an i7 with technically 8 cores would be half as fast as something with 16 cores. I guess what was typically the problem for people with those processors, even back when AMD had the bulldozer era, was, yeah, I have 4 cores against 8 cores, and in like a situation where more cores is better, you're in a situation where that becomes something that's important. But for the most part, a lot of stuff that we would use, you know, video gaming and sort of general surfing and stuff, relied much more on single core performance, which Intel, at least until you know, up until very recently, just totally dominated. There was just no reason to do anything other than go Intel. I mean, like, even my build has Intel. I really wanted to use AMD just because, you know, like, I like the underdog. You know, I think we all really want the underdog to do well and see it, you know, thrive. And by the way, I'm just opening these card packets. Now, I was really lucky with this, actually, because if you keep an eye on Humble Bundle from time to time, you'll find that sometimes they give, like, free stuff away. Even if you don't want to buy anything, you can just get, like, a free whatever. And when I was, I don't remember what it was, like the Jumbo Bundle 7 or something, they were doing, like, a Dulyist sign up and you get 20 free orbs. So I'm just opening them now. I've had them for ages. I don't know why I didn't open them just there and then, but I think I was waiting for the game to release more cards. So I'm doing it now. You guys can see. I have no idea how good these cards are, but we'll get them anyway. And I think, you know, like, we look at our builds. I mean, even my build now, I'm thinking about it, I'm a bit worried that, you know, maybe it's going to come out of date because, you know, like, when we went from dual cores to quad cores, that was kind of like the big step change. And I think with Intel having dominated the market for as long as it has, there was a lot of stagnation. You know, like, we didn't move on to 6 cores or 8 core processors as soon as perhaps we should have done. And now that we're making that jump to 6 cores with Coffee Lake, and with the sort of more, I think, what will become the more popular line of AMD processors, which is 6 cores, 12 threads, I'm assuming, given that the lowest 8-core processor is 319, we must be looking at like 250 for the highest 6-core, and maybe going all the way down to like maybe 175 for the cheapest 6-core. But AMD's always been really great at overclocking, so I'd be really stunned if we didn't see basically that 175 or that 200 processor being as good as the very best 6-core if you win in the Silicon Lottery. If not, you know, with a good cooler, you could be really rocking it. And I think AMD's always been great for that. Like, you know, they've always been pushing the overclocking. The lower end motherboards are going to be overclockable. You're going to have just such great options. And for me, and I think I can say this because, you know, the PC I'm sitting here right now is all basically, apart from the key components that you can't really buy secondhand, was all secondhand. I bought my processor in CEX. I bought my starting hard drive in CEX. I bought the next hard drive I got in CEX. I bought the motherboard came from Amazon because I didn't know where I could get a secondhand one of those that I would be confident with, because I don't really buy anything on eBay. And the case was from Amazon, and the power supply was from Amazon. Getting a message here. And all the peripheral parts were from Amazon up until I got this Xbox 360 wireless connector, which you can get on CEX for about, I think, like £10 at the moment. I bought it in store for 10 quid. I know you can get cheaper ones that are not official, but I just thought it was easier just to go straight up with the regular Xbox controller and go there. And it's great for consumers because this is going to drive prices down, not necessarily of Intel's processors, because things I've heard, Intel's the last thing they're likely to do is reduce their prices. They'll go for the boutique, the luxury, the brand strength, and we'll see them compete, maybe not necessarily so directly on price at certain price points, because I just don't think there'll be really any competitiveness. Because, I mean, like, if they get a 6-core 12-thread processor down below the i7, you know, down an i5 territory, I don't really see there being any possibility of comparison in terms of performance. Like, more than double the number of cores and threads is going to be just something the i5 has no hope against. Not unless actually the i5 was secretly always an i7 and they just unlock hyper-threading for the processors in the future. But like I said, I think what's great about this more than anything is that people who are going to start off builds, you know, like if you think of maybe the 8350 or the 6350, these processors are really good still. You know, they're not the best in the world, but if you can get them, you know, sub 100 with a cooler, which is what they come with, you can get a cheap motherboard because they'll be reduced for a while. You're able to get, like, you know, it's easy to get a 650 watt power supply for relatively cheap. You know, you could build something really great. And graphics cards, man, the low-end graphics cards are fantastic. Heck, if you don't even want to go, if you're happy to go second-hand, CEX has some really great graphics cards. I mean, like, if you think about it, you can get 7970, I think, for 90 quid. And from what I understand, its performance is about that of an R9 280X, which is much better than a GTX 1080 or an RX 470, and that's great. Why not? CEX offers great. I mean, if you're in the UK, I don't know whether they're outside of the UK, but if you're in the UK and you're buying a graphics card, and you want to just get the cheapest card possible, you know, with the cheapest processor, with the cheapest setup, and still have, you know, the extra cores to do a little bit of, you know, video editing, a little bit of streaming, you've got the possibility to do it with that kind of setup, and to do it for a relatively cheap price. And if you've got anything, you know, that you want to get rid of, you've got something that you can buy directly with that, whether you're upgrading a system or whether you're just buying what you want to buy. And I think that these processors, as they slowly come onto the market and we get the lower end stuff, is really going to push prices down of second-hand goods, because fundamentally, if those 6 cores get low enough, they'll be so cheap. I mean, think about it this way. Go down to the very lowest end of the AMD spectrum and you look at the 4-core and 4-thread processor. You're looking at something that, for the most part, is, you know, really, really amazing. You know, like, I wouldn't have expected us to be at a point where, you know, we can have basically, you know, the cores of an i7 for the price of an i3. You know, that's going to be crazy. It'd be potentially three times the performance if the individual core count performance is as good as what we've seen. I know this video is like mad boring looking at this weird thing and me just popping these orbs off, but I'm hopefully when I do more videos with it we'll get some more interesting stuff going on. But you know what, it's just a really exciting time to just be getting into PCs, and I think PCs are really coming into that period of time where they're really going to reach a zenith. Now I'm going to cut the video short now, but I'll make another one and upload that shortly afterwards, just to follow on, I think, more on about like the low end stuff, you know, where the prices are really low, and actually maybe reflect on some of the price ranging that we've been seeing with products maybe on Amazon, or at least that I've seen, because I follow the graphics cards so frequently, sad as I am. Anyway, I appreciate you coming and watching the video, and talk to you later.